So from their standpoint, we are very much at a level that they feel is confident and comfortable that they can handle. If something would go into a higher point, if we saw our hospitalizations climb, we could, at that point, address with a state of emergency at that particular time.
May I say one more thing?
Yes, absolutely, Ms. Hill.
Well, if you had that ability, if we kept this going, you could not do anything, and then it would be there if you need to do something. I don't see,
But if, again, you're keeping a mask mandate, or you're looking to keep a mask mandate, and there are only so many things that you can do if we get to a point that we actually need to do something, and you're keeping all the things going while we're in a point where we're not needing, it's not burdening our hospitals or doing something else. So I think in the event that the reverse happened, we would need something to kind of get people's attention should something change and go in the wrong direction.
well, I don't know about most people, but I read every day what's happening, and I think 30 states are increasing the virus cases. I'm not at all confident that we're over the hill, so to speak.
Councilwoman Hill, I don't think we'll ever be over the hill. I think we've got to learn to manage it. And I think we need to make decisions, not what's happening in 30 other states. We need to make decisions based on what's happening in Pensacola. It's only productive for us to make those decisions on what we do in Pensacola and to send some kind of discipline that we can understand where we are, and we will adjust based on where we are. But running on everything where you have no options, should something else go in the wrong direction, that it would be very difficult to figure out where you go.
Well, I'd like to give the council a chance to vote on this rather than pull it.
Councilwoman Hill, since this item was pulled by the sponsor, if you would like to bring it back, we can bring it back as an add-on on Thursday.
All right.
I'll prepare the item with you as the sponsor.
Okay.
Good resolution. All right. Yes, and I've lost the speaker.
That's what I wanted to bring to your attention,
See here.
that the request to speak doesn't work on this computer.
Okay.
No,
And my
no,
request
it's
to
on
speak,
already. It's okay.
okay. My request to speak is available, but I don't have the list of speakers now. When I hit the button, instead of showing me who wants to speak, it says that I want to speak. Okay, there we go. It's fixed.
Okay, so.
But now it's got me wanting to speak. All right, anyways. Yes,
But
Ms. Myers, you have
anyway,
the floor.
Only thing I wanted to speak about is that my request to speak doesn't work.
Okay, ironic.
So,
Perfect. Well, Ms. Canada Wynn,
Yes, originally, this item was not the mayor's item. When we did the agenda review, this item was my item. And then when it came back as the mayor's item.
No, ma'am, two different items.
Well, is my item on here?
Yes, ma'am. Your
Okay.
item is number
You're
3.
talking about item 3.
the
Okay,
master
all right,
ordinance.
okay, all right.
all right, so I think we've got that little knot wrangled. Let's move on to item 5, the amendment of policy for disposition of city-owned real property. Mayor Robinson, you're on my
Yeah,
list here,
if,
but.
This is in the city council's office.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Hill, I'm sorry, you're like.
All right. I think I am the sponsor on this. Mr. Career, do you want to give us a summary? You're always much better at this than I
Okay,
am.
this is the policy that we use for surplus property, and all that we're really doing is we have worked with Deanna Stallworth, who is our new lease contract manager here in the city, and she and I have worked together to kind of update this, making it more current, and to add a portion that allows for a historic review as part of that process. We're also looking, we may have, it may be in there, she and I were just talking before the meeting, but we also want to be sure to include the sensitive properties ordinance or reference to it within that document as well.
Okay. So this would specifically relate to properties that the city owns, we look to surplus to dispose of, that there would be a defined process for reviewing those.
Yes, sir, there is a defined process. This
Adds
just
on.
makes it a little bit more readable.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Did you have more you wanted to say?
I just thought maybe we should introduce
Introduce?
the.
Great thought. It's Miss Dina, right? Yes. I don't know if everyone had the chance to meet her on the way in. She was there in the mysterious behind the curtain here, but certainly good to meet you. Appreciate you being here. Glad to have you aboard, part of the Pensacola team. And we know firsthand from recent meetings that this will be a valuable thing. The more information we have before we surplus and dispose of properties, the better. So look forward to having you. All right. Item 6, declaration and disposition of real property. A fitting transition, yes, sir. All right. Any questions on item 6? No questions. Let's move to 7, Pensacola Escambia County Promotion and Development Commission. No questions on that one. Number 8, multi-jurisdictional local mitigation strategy. All right. That'll bring us to discussion items. I believe Ms. Myers, was this your item on the training of new board members? Would you like to?
No, I can't see mine. Nothing. I mean, I want to watch. But yes, that is my item. I
Okay.
can't- But I would like to ask our council executive to address that matter.
All right, Mr. Crayer?
Right, we were, I view this as training on new board members for the members that are appointed to our boards, not city council members. We do have a
Right,
process for onboarding city council members that I'm working with the city attorney and other staff on implementing for, especially for our new council members. This is the training for our new board members, and according to council policy, new board members are required to be afforded they're to get ethics and sunshine training annually. Just so everybody's clear, that's not a state mandate, but it is a mandate that city council has placed. So in talking with the city attorney, what we have been doing is the city attorney's office has an attorney that staffs the majority of their boards. And that person has, when a new board member comes on, has been making those contacts and just bringing them kind of up to speed on the sunshine especially. So what we talked about doing is moving forward, if I can share that, is to, the city attorney talked about doing a video that we can then have available to all new board members, and that we can update it when's needed, when laws change and things like that. But to make it available for all board members, where they can either watch it in a board meeting, we can make that part of the beginning part of a board meeting, so that all board members are getting updated, or they have the ability to watch it individually on their own.
Okay.
So we're working on that one right now.
Okay. Excellent. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Ms. Myers?
Is this mic working here?
I
Well,
can-
I just think it's really important that our boards get sufficient training and in sunshine, about not talking to each other outside of board meetings, about things that could come up before the board. Open record laws should be part of that training. Also, I would like for every board member to be given a copy of the Florida and the Sunshine Manual, because it's very, very complicated, and you can't deal with everything in just a video or, the training. But I find the Florida in the Sunshine Manual to be extremely helpful to me. So I don't think that's a great expense to incur to get that either to them or tell them where they can find it online. But anyway, I just think it's really important that board members have that training. And the Florida League of Cities also offers some really good videos on ethics and sunshine. So that's a resource our board members could be directed to also.
Okay, great. Ms. Campbell?
Yes, and also I know that they have mentioned in the past, conflicts of interest in there. So I would like to make sure that they understand the conflict of interest part in there
Okay.
as well. Thank you.
All right. I see Mr. Carrera nodding.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I don't know how to work this iPad.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to add that the city clerk's office, when we send the letters of appointment or reappointment to every board member, they do get a pamphlet that we purchase from the First Amendment Foundation that gives them a briefing on sunshine law and public records, and also a copy of the city's ethics ordinance 07-11.
Thank you for mentioning that. As soon as you said it, I remembered whenever, in the past, when I'd served on boards, receiving that little packet. That is very helpful. Thank you for reminding of that. Ms. Wolf, I saw your...
Yeah, at this point, thank you, Council Vice President. I'm not sure there's really anything to add. I was going to just mention what the clerk does.
Okay.
When we speak to them, we do mention that the Sunshine Manual is available online, and so anyone has access to it that way. Yes, they can get a printed copy, but I think it might cure insomnia if they try to actually read it word for word. It's very small print and very long. But we have provided training for the boards when it's been called to our attention that it's needed. And the hope with the video is I think we've got about 16 or 17 boards, and there's only 4 of us attorneys. And so the idea of the video is to provide consistent information, on an annual basis, and then have it available if new board members come on at different times of the year or for whatever reason miss a meeting, make it available while still having individual attorneys available to answer questions for any particular board.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mayor Robinson?
Yes, I did want to say, certainly as far as new council members, because I was not sure what you meant by this originally, but new council members I know have been meeting with the city attorney, and we've even had a chance to meet with him, and we will get you we're waiting to get a picture of Walker Wilson, I think, for our new board org chart of the city org chart. Is great. It has pictures, names, and all the departments. It's much better than anything we've had. I would have loved to have had it when I came in, knowing all the people. So it's great to see them. We even have Brian Cooper with hair on the picture. So, but anyways, it's really good. We did have a chance to meet with them and make them aware of everybody who and sort of lay down what it is. So we have had a chance to sit down with the 2 new members who we know will be coming in November. So we have sat down with them already.
Excellent. All right. If there's no further discussion on that one, we have a second discussion item. I believe this was yours as well. Yes, Ms. Myers, this was yours. Did you want to kick that off?
Yes, at the last city council meeting, I brought up an issue having to do with what I had been told was involving the situation of benches being taken up at Martin Luther King Plaza that impacted homeless people, it seems. So I asked Mike Kimbrell, who is the director of the Washburn Center, if he could come down here and maybe talk to us about some of the problems he sees that need to be addressed. within the city limits. Of course, homelessness has no boundaries with the city and the county. So anyway, I'm just going to turn it over to Mike.
All right, welcome, Mr. Kimbrell.
Good afternoon, council. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm going to try to keep my mask on, if that works for y'all. So I guess for the general public as well, I'll give a brief synopsis of who I am. My name is Michael Kimbrell. I am co-founder and director of Sean's Outpost and the Shitoshi Forest Project, as well as the director of the Alfred Washburn Center, and I also sit on the board of directors of Trinity House, which is a transitional home here in the city limits. I guess the best way to address this situation on homelessness, I guess, is to hit it with a broad brush to start off, and then y'all can hit me with some questions and we can narrow some things down. 2020, like with all people, has been devastating, but it's been especially devastating to our homeless community. When we first started isolating and shutting down businesses, one of the first things to go was services to our homeless community. Shelters closed their door, people that provided food to the homeless quit coming out, and we saw a couple of things happen. We saw, in my opinion, a beautiful thing happen, which was the grassroots community stepped up. People that had never addressed homelessness before started coming out to provide food and different supplies to our homeless community. But the downside to that was they didn't know where to find them. They weren't trained like we are to, go know where they are behind the bushes or what businesses they, frequent behind. And so the homeless tried to help out those, grassroots people by being out in the public. And so we saw a mass accumulation of people in public spaces, in our local parks, in front of grocery stores. And it was because they didn't know when food was coming or supplies were coming. And so they were out in the public at all times so you could find them and so they could get what they needed. Once businesses opened back up, our service providers were more reluctant. They were mostly volunteer driven, and so volunteers don't step up to get back in the business of helping as quick when there's a pandemic. And so we saw a natural conflict begin with local businesses wanting to get back to normal when out their front doors it was not looking normal to them. They were seeing an increase in homelessness, when the reality was we haven't seen an increase so much as they became more public. That falls into, then later we had this hurricane that just recently hit us, and that has given us an increase in homelessness. We have seen more people hit the streets due to the storm. Low-income housing developments have shut down, and they've evicted people. I'm seeing more people on the streets. And along with that storm, service providers were hit very, very hard. Waterfront Rescue Mission is down, so we've lost all that shelter space that we had there. The Alfred Washburn Center, the center that I run that provides services to the community, we are down to basically providing showers and lunches and checking mail, when normally we provided laundry, help point people in direction of other service providers. We don't know what's open and what's not open. I mean, it's kind of chaos out here. And so when I saw that the benches had been taken up from downtown along MLK Plaza, it drew a concern for us, because for us it's the opposite approach of what we should be taking. We're seeing more people on the streets, and instead of trying to assist, we're trying to corral them and move them in certain areas. And I think a good analogy is when you're cleaning up your yard and you're using a leaf blower, and you blow all the leaves into your neighbor's yard, you haven't solved the leaf problem, and two, you've ticked off your neighbor. And so this pushing the poor into different areas, I don't think is anything remote to a solution. I guess further on that, we have seen benches pop up here at City Hall, there on the north lawn. And I share Councilwoman Meyer's concern with those, that they are unsightly. They didn't look like there's been much planning to them. One of the benches is facing a brick wall. I mean, so it's not even like, there's a good view to be looking at. The wood that was used looked like it was, they didn't even look for like good choice lumber. It's just poorly manufactured and just doesn't seem like a good representation of our city. But my understanding is it has a goal, and that is to lure the homeless here to City Hall, to get them away from the downtown businesses along the Palafox corridor. And I guess with that, I can answer any questions. I know that was kind of a big broad brush there, but.
No, I certainly appreciate you coming down and appreciate the opportunity to address it for sure.
no problem.
I see your light, Mayor Robinson was on. Did you want to
Yeah.
speak first?
I appreciate it, and I certainly appreciate it, Mike. I know our administration has talked to you not once but twice about dealing with homelessness and solutions that we can find. I mean, there are a number of issues. Loaves and Fishes went out with COVID. Waterfront went out with the Sally. Building Bridges is out, and they're waiting, but they've got their funding for their stuff in their kitchen, so hopefully they'll be back. So a number of homeless providers in this period have gone out, which has exacerbated the problem. And we are hoping to bring something forward from the city standpoint that we've been working on. However, we ourselves have somewhat been challenged by Sally. So I know that the last thing we've got is we'd hoped to by now have already met with business stakeholders. We've met with Mike and other stakeholders in homelessness. Our administration has, and we're hoping to get with business owners and then bring back some plans. One of the challenges are all these spaces are public. That means they're available to all the people. They're not to be monopolized by a certain group of people, but they're open to everyone, and they should be utilized by everyone. We wouldn't give somebody a permit to a park, to the gazebo at Dunwoody Park for every single day. We wouldn't give the same person the same permit every single day because we wouldn't allow somebody to monopolize it. So we would allow it to be worked together. I did talk to Mike at several times, and the question was, how do we find ways to create things better and create other environments? Certainly, there are things here at City Hall, but I would say the only benches at City Hall, unfortunately, were slab concrete benches with no backs, which is why I asked each of you to please go out there and sit on each one. I'm not saying we want an architectural design, but I do believe they are considerably more comfortable than the current slabs that are out there that were probably designed architecturally to prevent people from sleeping and sitting and doing other things. They were designed that way. But again, we're certainly trying to find other ways, but that's not the only place. Certainly back in Hollis T. Williams, there's an opportunity. There were things that were discussed with you and opportunities to do different feeding missions and what we can do. We certainly welcome those opportunities, and I think the staff would have hoped to have had something presented to council and some things that we could do with the CARES Act until we got sort of sidetracked by Sally. I will say there have been a number of challenges since we've reopened from COVID. In the summer, we had a stabbing at one of the restaurants down there from a homeless individual. We've had just a couple of weeks ago, we had 20 tires slashed and 20 cars marked up by a homeless individual. And we had a homicide in an area where a homeless individual beat up an individual in a neighborhood that was nearby the downtown area. These are things that are also happening that we are trying to work to make sure we don't have the same conflict of space. We hope to bring forward something that we can find a solution that helps create a better place for all Pensacolians, including our homelessness. And so we've been working on that. Our staff has been, not just once we've sat on with Mike, but twice. And so we're trying to figure out solutions. Mike came for us to one with a with an idea of a mini shelter that we could bring people in on an emergency basis, especially in light of what's happened right now with COVID. So we're hoping, we submitted that to the county once before. We're still trying to work through that process. We're trying to see long-term if we should be doing another day center. I mean, certainly we hear what happened with the hurricane without Washburn. Do we need another day center? And do we need that opportunity to create that? I know we talked with Councilwoman Hill about the opportunity that might have to have some camping sites with that. But everything we've talked to, Mr. Kimball said, make sure we don't get any more than about 10 to 12 people because of the management of what that takes. We're looking at tiny homes. We've got a variety of things, initiatives that we are trying to move forward with, and we hoped to have something to you, but we did get sort of sidetracked by Sally. Now that we're sort of picking up the last thing we got to do, Keith, when's your meeting with the merchants of this month? So October 29th, and then staff will kind of be wrapping it up and trying to get some solution as to how do we find a solution that's workable for all the parties in there, including the homelessness, and how do we make some solutions. And I think you're going to see a whole series of different small solutions rather than one huge solution, just because it would allow us to diversify and be more nimble to take those different points that we can. So I think that's what you're going to see, but clearly we have some conflicts that we realize, and we want to resolve those conflicts, but we want to find a way to take care of our homeless, take care of all the missions we want to do in the city of Pensacola, and find a collective way to do it. So we'll move forward and continue to figure out ways we can do that.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. Miss Canada Wynn.
No, Miss Myers, she had her hand up before.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I missed
Then
your
I'll
first.
come after her.
Perfect, sounds great, thank you. Miss Myers.
Well, I've been on this council going on now for 11 years, and this city has not addressed the issue of homelessness. We had a committee that sat for 6 months. We paid to bring an expert here that met with that committee, and a plan was developed. And that's been what? I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago? It still hasn't been implemented. And when Mr. Mayor, one of the first meetings, if not the first meeting I had with you when you became mayor, was the issue of homelessness, and not just in the entire city, but specifically in my district. I have a lot of homeless people in my district, and yet this city is not inclined to put any resources over there for the homeless. I have a business person I talked to the other day, and he's from another country, and he often has people sleeping behind his building, which he does not object to, by the way. And so he wasn't talking to me complaining about it. What he was concerned about is why here in America do we have people who have no place to sleep? He says in his country, and this is a big country, China, that you don't see people sleeping in the street. People have a place to live, even if they're panhandlers. And so I just feel, based on 11 years of experience, and before then I was a legal aid attorney, I have been working with the homeless for 40 years, starting in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I have never witnessed political will that's necessary to address the issue of homelessness. When we got CARES Act money, I guess we've gotten some, CARES Act provides for using that money to provide housing for people who are homeless. Everybody knows, all the experts know, that the solution to homelessness is a place to live. That's the solution. And I really would like some resources in District 2. And even if things just like a place to go to charge up a cell phone. People who are homeless, a lot of them do have cell phones. A lot of homeless people get food stamps. If they have food stamps, they get a phone, right, Mike? And people need places to charge up their phones. Now, a lot of times they can't go into a business and sit in a business and charge up their phone. And so just little things like that, and places to use the bathroom. So there are things that we can do that we're not doing. And we're putting an awful lot of money into the wrong priorities, in my opinion, in this city. We're getting ready to ask for millions of dollars to do streetscaping down here, and yet we put in benches like that? I don't know. I have absolutely no faith, after 11 years of sitting on this council, that we are going to have the political will or effectively address the issue of homelessness. I know we have to work with the county to do it. Not only the county, but other counties around us.
All right, Mrs. Canada Wynn.
Yes, before I go on, just keep the faith, You're going to be fighting for them, so keep the faith there, Councilmember Myers. My addition to this is that I have been looking in District 7 for a long-term a day center. Some type of long-term day center. I do think I have an idea of where that should be. I've talked to Mr. Wilkins about it, and so they're going to look at whether or not, one of the issues when I looked in the community in my neighborhood is sometimes you get that not in my backyard mentality is what you get, and you get that a lot of it, especially when you deal with neighborhoods. So when you're looking at a place to place a center for our homeless, you're looking for a place that you don't get that mentality, because then you have a longer fight in which to get those things done. So I have been looking, I have identified a place, the two places. And so again, I was going to ask the mayor, where were we on CARES Act dollars from the county? Would this idea, if a plan came up for a facility, would we be able to tap into some of the restore dollars that the county has in reference to getting those dollars? And then again, go back and look at our emergency plan in which we deal with all the other types of things during hurricanes. Maybe we need to go back and relook at how we deal with the homelessness during that time period as well. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mayor Robinson, did you want to speak again? Let's see.
Yeah, and I do. I think, one of the challenges, when I first got in here, we immediately had, shortly after I've been here, we had a summit on homelessness that we did. 3 priorities came out of that, really. The need for a day center, the need for unified reporting, and the desire to have more housing structure. There was kind of another one that was talked about funding for individuals, which I totally think we need. The challenge is that's not out of the city, it's not out of the county, that really is out of the state, for social workers to be working and handling homeless. They're the ones that fund that, and I would wholeheartedly agree that the state needs to fund that more. But the 3 things we could control, we've been looking at. The biggest challenge we've had is that for the last 7 months, you could not find a time that was more, or perhaps less conducive to dealing with homelessness than during COVID, the last 7 months we've had. In fact, as Mr. Kimbrell said, most of the shelters that deal in homeless have gotten out of the homeless part because of having to deal with COVID. So it has been one of the more challenging times we've had. I do believe that you, Madam President, that we would be ready to present that stuff to you, just what you asked about and some of the things that we've been looking at, that the administration has been looking at. But we met with individuals who deal with homelessness, and we're trying to meet with individuals in the business community and figure out what we can create some strategy. And I think we've been waiting to have that meeting, and we did get interrupted by Hurricane Sally. But I do expect to see that coming forward. There is CARES Act money. I don't know about restore money. It doesn't really fit as much the purpose in there, but there was clearly CARES Act money. Here's the problem. Ms. Myers, the city got zero CARES Act money. So everything we have to do, we have to go to the county. You saw we've been there multiple times. They continue to say they're working with us, but we've got to come up with our plan. So after we did that with the CARES Act money, we started creating this plan. We met with the homeless community, and then we were meeting with the business community, and we just haven't had the chance to do that. But I do believe you will see that coming forward. I know I've talked with Councilwoman Hill about that in a day center. If there's a day center that we could have in District 7, I think we were looking at one of those temporary, the smaller shelters that was mentioned to us by Mike. We were looking at a site for that. So we're constantly looking for a few of those things, and I think we'll have a better plan once we've had a chance to have that last meeting. So I would ask for your patience, and I'm sorry we've gotten delayed by about a month because of Sally. But again, we just keep trying to deal with one emergency, go to the next emergency. And I think, in spite of all the things we've been faced, we are coming through a variety of things, and we will have something to you. That's our goal in putting something forward that deals with homelessness, and we think that would be the most productive way for us to present and then go to the county with something that we have a plan. So I would have liked to have had that to you by now, but things didn't work out timing-wise for us, so we expect to have something to you in the next couple of weeks. And I feel like we've done more to address homelessness in the not even 2 years that we've been here, even despite having 7 months of COVID. We've tried to figure out what we can do, but it is going to be a solution that works for everybody. This can't just be about, everybody has to work for, and so we're trying to figure out how we make that happen, and that's what's going to make us successful in what we deal with in Pensacola. It's going to have to be sustainable. Everybody's going to have to buy into it. That's the only way it's going to be sustainable.
All right, thank you, Mayor Robinson. Yeah.
I don't know how this works. I've never been an invited speaker before, but can I add to?
Yeah, sure. We'll give you you get closing remarks.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Yes.
So I would like to elaborate a little bit on Councilwoman Wynn's comments on the day center. A day center is very important and a very important piece of the puzzle when it comes to homelessness. So it works, one, as a point of entry. So no one sits down and sets up an emergency plan for homelessness like we do for a hurricane. So when someone experiences homelessness, they don't know where to go, what services are available, who has what programs. And so a day center is a good place for that. It is a place for someone to come in, get a shower, do a load of laundry, get their dignity back, get a meal in their belly, and then sit down with someone and find out what is available, what they qualify for, where they need to go. But it is also paramount that where they need to go exists as well, that there has to be that backup infrastructure. So when we tell someone this is the services that you can get at this location, those services are there. This is a very sensitive demographic of our population, and earning trust is difficult and very easy to lose. So when we make recommendations or referrals, they have to be there. Also, shelters are important, but they need to move people out of homelessness. They can, a lot of times what we see in our community is our shelters are used as warehouses, and that the day centers are used to manage the problem. And that's not what we need to be doing. We need to be solving the problem. And so we need to utilize these tools of day centers and shelters with the social workers and the programs that we can form to move people out of homelessness, because we are constantly having more people fall into homelessness. And so I have to get these people out of homelessness because I've got a new batch coming in tomorrow. And so it's paramount that we address this holistically and from every angle, because falling into homelessness is about as diverse as anything else in our community. It ranges from abuse to medical issues. To, I mean, like, I could go on forever naming all the different things that can cause someone to fall into homelessness. And so the solution is just as diverse. We have to assess a person, or stabilize a person, assess the person, and then get them to the help they need. And if the help isn't there, then they run stagnant on our streets. And the longer that they're on our streets, the harder it is for us to help them. The trust goes away, and one of the biggest things that we fight out here is apathy. Once someone becomes apathetic, they're not even trying to get out of the situation. They accept homelessness as their reality, and those are the people that everyone will sit there and say, oh, they choose homelessness. They don't choose it, they have grown to accept it, and that's not okay. No one wants to be out here. No one graduates from high school setting out to be a drunk bum on the streets. So what y'all see as a drunk bum, I see as a person suffering from depression, and they're self-medicating and they need our assistance. And so what we need is compassion. And what I'm hearing, and I hope you don't take offense to this, Mr. Mayor, but I'm hearing more interest in what the business community feels on this. And the business community at this point needs to put up, they need to put some money on the table. That they're the ones with the money, they're the ones making profits on our community. And if they want to see homelessness removed from their streets, they need to lay some money down on the table and help us. It's same with the city. Seeing that y'all put $50,000 for all of homelessness for our community for 1 year kind of was insulting. As someone that addresses homelessness, like it's pennies. Y'all are not addressing homelessness. I'll leave it at that. But y'all.
I hear you, Mr. Kimball. I hear you.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah,
It
I understand.
really is.
Definitely understand. Appreciate you coming down. Appreciate what you said about there being a diverse number of causes and issues that have to be addressed. I think it's obviously the fact it's a universal issue that lots of communities face. It's a big problem, and there's no easy solution. I think that's why it continues to be a problem. At the end of the day, it's a tough problem to address, and you eat, breathe, and live it. And I think that anybody can stand on the outside and say, appreciate how you've dedicated your life to improving the situation. So certainly appreciate you being here today. And we could probably have 25 people, 25 different opinions on how to fix it.
And I'm willing to share my expertise with any of y'all at any time. So if any of y'all want any free information, please feel free to hit me up. So,
very good.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would simply say, Mike, I would echo Councilwoman Myers that, again, the feedings just happening on Palafox aren't helping everyone. It certainly isn't helping District 2. That's why we got to do feedings in other places. Can't just have feedings in one area. We're not helping the area in District 2, and those are things we need help with.
And like I told you, that feeding, as you call it, is a protest, so we can have a conversation on poverty, and it obviously is working. So until we start coming up with some solutions on the table, the protest will continue.
All right.
Mr.
Well, shoot, I think
Can I just say one more thing?
oh, I'm so nervous.
No, please don't be. Please don't. Now, because I want to put this, I want to make sure this goes on the list, Mayor Robinson. There are a lot of people who live in their cars, okay? And there are going to be more people living in their cars. So I want on the list of things to address is safe places for people to park their cars without being told to leave by the police. So that's a real challenge for people who live in their cars. And quite frankly, I've never said this in public, but I have multiple chemical sensitivity. I do not stay in hotels. When I travel, I have to sleep in my car. So I know what having to sleep in a car means. And we have a lot of people who more and more are living in their cars because they cannot afford rent. So I just want to put that, we've talked about certain individuals before that we know live in their cars, but I would like for you to consider that also as a possibility of where people could park a car safely at night.
All right.
Now I'm through, we can
Okay,
move on.
all right, no, I thank you, and it's certainly a significant issue. I think we all agree there's an issue there, and we've got to address it. It's a complex issue, so glad we had the discussion. I'm not trying to skirt the importance of it, but yes, Mr. Geralds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My comments will be brief. I've heard this is the second time we've had this discussion. And today I've heard a lot of good ideas. But what I would like to see is that a priority be given to changing things, to improving it. I can speak from the 12 years of experience that I had on this council from 2000 to 2012. And I recall that the fear was that if we improved things a great deal, that we would attract additional homeless people to this area. That was a concern at that time. However, I've heard today some good ideas, but I would like to see a priority be given to it and that we work the problem out as best we can. But I agree with Michael and what has to be done. We have to do some things, and Ms. Canada Wynn and so forth. There are some things that we need to do, and even Ms. Council Member Sherry Myers, that there's some things that we talked about doing, but we never got around to. But we're going to have to put this on the top shelf and deal with it at once, and to improve things as best we can. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. I think when we set our priorities earlier this year, this was one of the 4 that we established. If you took our whole meeting and boiled it down, there's 4 topics that came out, and I believe homelessness, panhandling was one of them. But anyway, so that will move us to the consideration of add-on items. I believe we have one add-on item here. It was a resolution that we'll discuss more in depth at the CRA meeting that will follow later today. Do we need a motion and a second to, yes, we'll need a motion and a second to add this item. I trust everyone has a copy at their seat, and Dr. Wu, I trust you received the email copy. If you could give me a thumbs up, just so I know you.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
I pushed my button, I don't know.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I see the thumb, so we know Dr. Wu has the material. This is for, I'm sorry, we've got members of the public, you probably don't have it in front of you. This is the item approving the East Garden District Streetscape Project Master Redevelopment Agreement and preliminary plans. We'll discuss it again at length with the special CRA meeting to follow. This will just go ahead and have it on the agenda for Thursday, council ratification as well, so. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Not seeing any speakers. Then we will vote to add. We're just adding it to the agenda at this point. So let's go ahead and vote to add this item to the agenda. Dr. Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
All right, unanimous. Our visual aids are out today, so get the auditory version. So that will be on the item Thursday. And again, if you're here for that particular item, we will discuss it at the special CRA meeting that we will have following the workshop that follows this meeting. If that's confusing, just stay in your seat. We'll talk about it eventually. All righty, so we have the reading of items for the council agenda. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Consent agenda items 1 and 2, regular agenda items 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the add-on resolution 2020-55.
Excellent, thank you very much. Communications, do we have any city administrator communications, Mr. Wilkins? None at this time, thank you. Ms. Wolf?
No, sir.
All righty. Monthly financial report.
Just ignore that. That was
Okay.
supposed to be taken.
Blazing through it, we're not even pumping the brakes. City council communication, you better speak quick, because I'm in fourth gear. I don't see anything. We will adjourn.